Hey, don't be dissuaded from your own enlightenment by any other outside of yourself who doesn't understand your vibration, who hasn't had your life experiences, and isn't in your resistance-free vortex of creation that is the culmination that all life has caused us to desire and become up to speed in real time. Zen is beyond the mind. It's a oneness with heart-based energy. It's alignment with the initial personality of one that we all are, that everyone and everything is. So Zen is when we know ourselves as our heart center, and we can consciously quiet our mind, and we can allow our mind to flow with pure positive information that is the real-time path of least resistance, inspired thoughts and ideas from our inner being, from the totality of sentience that are being tailored to us and through us in real time in direct response to our call of desire. So don't let anybody outside of us dissuade us from our own enlightenment, from our own knowing. There's many schools of thought, there's many paths, and there's infinite variety. So we're all exactly where we have intended to be. And different words are going to resonate with different people, and not everybody's ready to be totally resistance-free. Not everybody's ready to taste the sweet nectar of alignment with pure positive energy, alignment with pure positive desire, and be the here and now receiver in real time of everything that we wish to experience in the form of the coherent whole feeling, isolating that feeling, the emotion, and letting that be the specific thing that we're reaching for, with the understanding that that is what the ultimate benefit of everything is, and it also just so happens to cause all of the specific details to fill in accordance with natural law effortlessly. So we get to just rendezvous with the experience we wish to have now and now and now and evermore, forever and ever and ever. Amen. And so let us not be dissuaded by others who are not quite ready. Let us not be dissuaded by different schools of thought and the various forms that the ego takes, even in the spiritual community, even in the healing community, even in all of these things that are well-intentioned. If we're not totally self-aware, if we're not totally resistance-free, there's always going to be the opportunity for these different elements of ego and misunderstanding to creep in. And so the vibration of healing and the vibration of following our bliss are the same thing. The vibration of health and well-being and not needing to get over something because we're already at the end result of already having been healed. And so we're no longer keeping the vibration active of what we're overcoming. We're no longer dwelling in that pain. And so there's different levels, and it's all well and good wherever we find ourselves. And so at a certain point, it may be our path of least resistance to just surrender and accept what we're feeling. And that may be deep, dark, negative emotions. And this is what people talk about when they talk about shadow work, and they talk about healing our shadow and honoring our darkness and all that good stuff and integrating it. And so, but we can also actually be healed. We can also actually be expanded and up to speed with our expansion in real time. We can actually be on that wavelength of the non-physical, pure positive vibration that's creating everything we wish to experience. It's who and what all of us are. We can actually be in that resistance-free, pure positive energy. And to an outsider who wants to feel that, because that's what we all want, it's what everybody wants, if someone isn't fully in alignment with that, then it's natural that they may try to throw cold water on your happiness. So we don't need to say anything specific, and we don't need to impose. We certainly don't want to impose or try to assert ourselves into anybody else's experience, as this is a universe of inclusion. So we just get to know it and feel it ourselves and experience that same kindness of recognizing self in everyone. And so one of my favorite Zen stories is the monk with sweaty palms. And the story is of this monk who's been practicing with a particular monastery and a particular spiritual teacher for quite some time, and then he reaches the level of attainment when his peers and his teacher recognizes that he's reached enlightenment. He's gone beyond the mind and entered into the land of the Buddhas. And so this monk gets promoted to go be the head of his own monastery. And then a short time after he starts being the head of his own monastery, a great dignitary or politician of whatever ancient civilization this monk was a part of came to visit the monastery. And he noticed that his palms became sweaty when this great dignitary was in his presence. And he realized that he wasn't ready to be a teacher and leader of his own monastery. So he went back to his original monastery and he continued to practice under his original teacher until he felt like he was ready. And so the story of the monk with sweaty palms is pointing to self-same kindness. So we recognize that we're all one, and all of the things of the physical world in terms of position or status are all just like these imaginary cones, when we're all this divine source energy. We're all divine beings. We are divine beings. Humanity is a divine being. And we're all equally God in human form. We're all equally this exalted being. And so to feel nervous around another person based on their status and to feel sweaty palms, then that's an indication that we're not in alignment with that pure positive energy. And so that just popped into my mind because there's so many various forms that the mind, the ego mind takes to keep us separated from that heart-based energy and keep us temporarily pinched off from who we really are. And this is a lot of what Eckhart talks about with the pathology of the ego pain body unholy alliance. But we don't actually need to address any of these things in the sense of we don't even really need to put words to it in that way, because this is like the whole thing I'm talking about. So like there's different levels. At one point there's acceptance, and then we can begin to transmute the energy of what we don't want. But then we gradually release more and more resistance, and we reach this self-sustaining momentum where we truly are in the resistance-free vibration. And we don't need to keep recalling and using that old terminology, which just keeps those old vibrations of unconsciousness active, even within our own experience, even when we've gone through it. So this is kind of like what Abraham talks about with thoughts attract more thoughts like them. And when you think a thought for like 17 seconds, you begin to attract another thought like it. And so let us have compassion with ourselves and with everyone, and let us recognize that we have the opportunity to access complete alignment with pure positive energy. We don't necessarily need to do any long, hard personal inquiry or shadow work. We don't need to get to the bottom of deep-seated unconscious dysfunctions or past traumas or things like that. If that terminology resonates, then that's wonderful. And there's certainly a place to explore, and even just for the pure positive emotion of interest and developing our minds. But ultimately, when we move through that energy, we will reach this resistance-free place where it's really not necessary to keep that old stuff active. And so, of course, in the context of compassion and wanting to include others, we can honor everyone where they are. And I'm certainly not trying to say that we all should be ready or all should already be healed or anything like that. Wherever we are is perfect. I'm just wanting to be a voice to support those that are ready or want to be ready and believe that it is possible and know that it's possible, and to champion that for everyone. So we don't need to compromise. It's not limited. There's not only like a certain amount of happiness we can reach. There's not any predetermined external set way in which we need to go about healing or being a good person, or integrating our shadow, or any of these things that are all well-intentioned that are becoming more and more popular in mainstream discussion and in esoteric discussion and in this emerging new earth community that we're all a part of. So compassion for everyone, honoring everyone where they are at, and understanding and recognizing that we're all having a unique experience, and we're all just reaching for the best feeling thought we can find from wherever we are. So the finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. The finger pointing at the moon is not the moon. So all words are fingers pointing to a coherent, whole, tangible experience in the consciousness of the perceiver. And then when we use words to communicate and discuss and develop schools of thought, ultimately we can use the same words to mean infinite things. And so there's plenty of leeway, and the takeaway is to not take anything too seriously, be open-minded and inclusive of all ideas, but reach for that best feeling vibration, what truly resonates with us. And don't feel bad, or don't feel like we're alone, or don't feel like because there's never a crowd on the leading edge, because maybe not everybody's on our wavelength, maybe not everybody's really feeling as happy-go-lucky about life as we are. And again, even if we're in a deep, dark place, or we're feeling some kind of negative emotion, we can still have that consciousness and hope and belief, and then ultimately knowing that it's part of our journey, and we're transmuting it, and we're taking the bounce. And this contrast is ultimately serving us, and it's helping us carve out that increased trajectory into the forward experience of everything we wish to experience now and forever. And when we're in that forward experience, which starts now and ends never, we always have the opportunity to feel better than we've ever felt previously. So any negative experience we're having, negative emotion or trauma or personal healing work that we're doing, right now in this moment, this can be the worst that it ever is or will be ever again. When we start with that point of surrender, and so everything I'm talking about, there's all these various schools of thought. There's healing, there's surrender, and there's all of these emerging schools in psychology and somatic experiencing and all of this beautiful development of the mind and community discussion. And ultimately, all of that stuff is a part of this collective upliftment, and we're all moving into that space of pure positive energy along our own path of least resistance, whatever we're most ready for, whatever's most enjoyable, whatever we're most ready to allow ourselves to receive. So there are infinite paths. We're all exactly where we have intended to be. I'm wanting to support everyone and feel supported and honored and acknowledged on each of our individual journeys, wherever we may be, and practice that self-same kindness that is pointed to with the monk with sweaty palms. So we can feel that namaste, the divinity in me recognizes and salutes the divinity in you, with all beings, with all people, with all sentience, and we can recognize that we have the totality of sentience focused with us at all times. So everybody who has ever lived, everybody who's currently alive right now, everybody who has ever lived and has transitioned, and all beings and all galaxies and all dimensions of non-physical and physical reality, we are actually the leading edge point of focus of all of that consciousness. So every individual human is the leading edge point of focus of all consciousness. And so that includes, for you, my inner being, and for me, your inner being. So me as John, I have you who's listening to this video. Your inner being is coming through me, and you're listening to your own inner being speak through me. And so this is the way that we're all delicately interconnected, and yet simultaneously completely sovereign, autonomous, and independent from one another. And it's this divine paradox where it appears as if we're separate, and we're simultaneously totally separate yet the same fabric of energy. So that is the mystery, and caught in illusion, we see only the manifestation. Free from illusion, we realize the mystery. So I invite you to realize the mystery, and I'm telling you with absolute certainty that it is possible to live completely resistance-free and be happy-go-lucky and bip along living happily ever after. And in fact, the extent of the challenges that we may face through our personal life experience is actually allowing for the increased experience of that pure positive side of the spectrum. So for every negative experience that we go through, we can experience that equal and opposite and beyond an infinite expansion positive part of it. So simply having this awareness and practicing appreciation. So when we have the negative experience, saying, I'm so thankful that I have this clarity and I can viscerally feel this thing that I so do not want. And then from there, taking that bounce and starting a new train where we take that contrast and we identify, okay, I really don't want this feeling. So what would the positive version of this feeling be? Because as Abraham teaches, every subject is two subjects. So if we're feeling the lack of health, if we're feeling sick, health is the same subject. It's just the other end of the stick. So for every negative experience, that pure positive experience is becoming that much more realized for us. And simply by practicing appreciation and having this awareness, we immediately alchemize and begin to transmute the energy of every and any experience we're having, no matter what it is. And so this is the eternal journey of being here now and allowing things to continually get better and better for ourselves and everyone. So this is my rampage of pure positive energy for today. This is episode 596 of Pure Positive Fun at patreon.com/purepositivefun. I really appreciate all the love and support, and I'll talk to you really soon. Peace.